Knoxville, Tennessee, 2016. A loving family peacefully spends Thanksgiving, unaware of the horror that awaits them. Joel and Lisa Guy were a happy couple. People around them called them true soulmates, and the pair had been married for over 30 years. They invited their children to celebrate Thanksgiving at the family home, the very house that police would describe 2 days later as a house of horrors. Scattered limbs, the stench of chemicals, and a head cooking in a pot on the stove. This is the gruesome story of Joel and Lisa Guy's cruel death. Joel Guy was born in 1955 and was a piping engineer. He already had 3 daughters from previous relationships when he met the love of his life, Lisa. They had a son whom they named after his father, Joel Michael Jr., as he was called. Joel Jr. was born in 1988 and was the couple's only child together. However, Joel Sr. and Lisa were close to the man's 3 daughters, one of whom described the woman as a loving mother to them all. When she and his sister Michelle were 3 years old, their father met Lisa, and since then, she has been like a second mother to them. After 31 years of happy marriage, Joel Sr. was planning his retirement and wanted to sell their house in Knoxville, Tennessee. Joel and Lisa were looking forward to spending more time together in retirement. They bought a house in North Knoxville, Tennessee, where they wanted to spend the rest of their lives. It was to be Lisa and Joel's last Thanksgiving in their Knoxville home before they left, and as one of the man's daughters explained, they were looking forward to it. They wanted to retire and just enjoy life. It should have been a celebration of their life together while they looked forward to a new chapter, but that chapter never came. It is Thursday, November 24th, 2016, Thanksgiving Day. The couple had invited Joel Sr.'s 3 daughters and their children, as well as their son Joel Jr., to celebrate Thanksgiving with them. Joel Jr. was otherwise rather reserved and quiet, but Michelle Tyler, his half-sister, claims that he behaved unusually this time. She noted that Joel Jr. made more of an effort to interact with his stepsister's children on this Thanksgiving, which he had never done before. Maybe this Thanksgiving was something special, she thought, because it was the last one in the family home. She wasn't sure if he even knew their names, and so the fact that he was talking to them was strange. She had no idea that this would be their last Thanksgiving with the family. After Thanksgiving, Joel Sr.'s 3 daughters left the house with their children, and Joel Sr. and Lisa Guy remained in the house with their son, Joel Jr. Joel Jr. had his own apartment in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but during the holidays, he stayed with his parents in their house in Knoxville, where he had his own bedroom. For several years, he attended Louisiana State University, although he actually wanted to become a plastic surgeon. He dropped out of his studies in 2015 and has not worked anywhere since. He depended on his parents and was financially unstable. On Saturday afternoon, November 26, 2016, 2 days after Thanksgiving, Lisa Guy went grocery shopping at a local Walmart. At 3 p.m. on the same day, her son, Joel Jr., was seen at the same Walmart buying bandages and chemicals. The next day, Sunday, November 27, 2016, Joel Jr. left the house in Knoxville to seek medical treatment for his hand wounds and drove back to Baton Rouge to make an appointment at the student clinic. These actions alone were not suspicious, but on Monday, November 28, Lisa Guy did not show up for work. Her friend, Jennifer White, began to worry. The company Lisa worked for was hosting a retirement party that she missed. She didn't answer her landline or her cell phone. Concerned about Lisa's safety, Jennifer called 911 and asked officers from the Knox County Police Department to check on the welfare of the Guy family. The officer who conducted the check was Stephen Ballard, who went to the Guy family home and rang the doorbell, but received no answer. He went around to the back of the house, but found that the gate was locked and did nothing further. But Lisa's supervisor was still concerned. An hour or two later, she called 911 a second time and requested another check on the situation. This time, Steph Ballard went to the house together with Jeremy McCord. Looking through the window, they saw groceries, including perishables such as milk and bacon, scattered on the floor, and although the house was listed for sale, there was no realtor's lock on the door. They also noticed that the handle of the back door was missing. Eventually, Ballard and McCord entered the house through the garage door. Inside the house, they felt a high temperature. This was the first frightening sign of the horror lurking in the house. Jeremy McCord said there were 3 cases of beer and perishable goods, and a large number of long guns lying around in the canteen. He explained, "We were terribly afraid because we didn't know if anyone needed help." Jeremy McCord then said, "It's just a bizarre situation. When you come across something, you usually know what it is right away, but this was a completely different situation, because as soon as we were up there, it was as if the world had turned 180 degrees. Everything was literally turned upside down. Inside the house, the weapons were scattered on the dining table. The smell of chemicals in the house was so strong that Ballard said he had a tingling sensation." Even more alarmed by these events, the officers feared the worst, and upstairs, their fears were confirmed. There, a gruesome sight greeted them. A pair of human hands lay in the hallway, and something even more terrible awaited them down in the kitchen. The officers had entered a true cabinet of horrors. Realizing that they could not proceed without reinforcements, they left the house. There was no one alive in the house. Soon, reinforcements were requested, and the crime scene technicians arrived at the scene. When they entered the house, they saw that there was a large pot on the stove that was hot. The crime scene technicians also found reddish-brown stains on the stairs, walls, and railing. However, the most gruesome evidence was found in the bathroom. In addition to the weapons in the sink, 2 blue tubs containing liquid and pieces of flesh were found in the bathroom. Almost every room was filled with evidence. Chemicals and weapons were lying around everywhere in the house, and there was blood everywhere. But the third resident, their son Joel Jr., was nowhere to be found in the house, and yet he was still alive. The police placed Joel Jr. under observation. As the only survivor, he became the only suspect and was arrested in Baton Rouge on Tuesday, November 29th. A meat grinder was found in the trunk of his car. What happened to Lisa and Joel Guy Sr.? It was clear that they had been murdered, and the prime suspect was their own son. But why? In a backpack in the house, the police found a bewildering piece of evidence, a black notebook that had been used by Joel Jr. This notebook was the key to the death of Lisa and Joel Guy Sr. In it, he wrote checklists in which he recorded the necessary equipment and the measures to be taken, minimize the number of things I will touch during my visit. Wear gloves and socks to avoid leaving finger and footprints. Throw something in the garbage disposal to break it. Put it on the floor and repair it. clean up the mess before going home. The notebook, titled The Book of Deliberate Actions, reveals that Joel Jr. had been planning the murder for days or even weeks. As early as November 7th, almost 20 days before the murder, surveillance footage shows Joel Jr. buying items that he would later use for the murder, such as hydrogen peroxide. His browser history shows a search for various chemicals, such as sodium carbonate, the active ingredient in the product OxiClean. Joel's plan was to end the lives of his parents and make it look like his father had done it. Joel Jr. planned to wipe down the crime scene and partially burn the house to destroy evidence. He also wrote notes about the temperature in the house, claiming he had to turn the thermostat up to the highest setting to destroy all evidence of his heinous crimes. As the evidence emerged, the chronology of events became clearer and clearer. On Saturday, November 26th, Lisa Guy went shopping. After she left the house without his father, Joel Jr. attacked him in the upstairs gym. Police noted that the room was in disarray, suggesting the man was fighting for his life, but his son overpowered him and stabbed him more than 40 times. Lisa Guy returned home shortly after noon. She entered the house with the groceries she had just bought, unaware of the horror that awaited her there. Perhaps the woman heard a noise from upstairs or saw signs that her son had become violent. She dropped the groceries on the floor and ran upstairs, but it was too late, and she didn't arrive in time to save her husband. Instead, her son attacked and killed her. Lisa Guy suffered at least 31 stab wounds. Joel put his mother's head in a pot and put it on the stove to cook it. After suffering a deep cut to his left thumb in the attack on his father, Guy left the scene and went to Walmart, where he was seen at 3:30 p.m. buying bandages, ointment, and various chemicals. It has been just over 3 hours since Lisa Guy was in Walmart buying groceries for the family. Joel Jr. shopped at the same Walmart, and at that point, his mother and father were already dead. It is a tragic coincidence that Lisa Guy's elderly mother fainted and was taken to the hospital when she learned of her daughter's murder. She died just 1 day before her daughter's funeral. As the trial approached, the evidence against Joel Jr., who pleaded not guilty, mounted. Testimonials from relatives and Joel's notebook showed that his motive was financial. Joel Guy had been financially supported by his parents throughout his life, and Lisa worked tirelessly to give most of her salary to her son. However, as they were about to retire, the couple decided that it was time for their 28-year-old son to stand on his own 2 feet again and planned to cut off his financial support. Joel Jr. sensed what was going on, and out of anger that his parents would no longer support him, he hatched a plan. He thought that in the event of his parents' death, he could access their life insurance worth $500,000. In addition, Joel Jr. would have access to his parents' other assets, such as their cars and yachts. For most of us, it is unthinkable to hurt someone in the family, but Joel Jr. not only killed the 2 people who loved and supported him the most, but he did it solely for the sake of money. Family members of Joel Sr. testified in court and confirmed that he had planned to cut off his son's financial support. According to them, Joel Sr. wanted to wait until Christmas, which they wanted to celebrate in their new house, if their lives had not been tragically ended. They wanted to talk to their son about it being time for him to pay his bills and everything else himself. Then the prosecutor took the floor, who said, this was a very kind family. They liked to talk and discuss these plans, and you can be sure that Lisa Guy loved Joel Guy Jr. the most and was his assistant, had told him in advance what was coming. They know that happened because they talked about it with Joel's older sisters in October and November. They know that the defendant knew about it, and they know that his mother told him. So he knew what was coming, and he is smart enough to know that once his mother retired, once she gave up her job, the insurance money would be gone. He wouldn't get it anymore, and he wasn't used to taking care of himself, and he didn't want to let that procedure change. Another grim detail was reported by Michelle Tyler, Joel Jr.'s half-sister. She testified that during the Thanksgiving celebrations 2 days before the murders, she saw blue containers in Joel Michael Jr.'s car. Jr. put chemicals and body parts of his parents in these blue containers. On the second day of the trial, Tuesday, September 29th, footage was shown showing Joel Jr. at Walmart just hours after the death of his parents, where he bought bandages and plasters to treat a cut on his thumb that he had sustained after attacking his father. Other photos and videos from this house of horrors were also shown. The pot containing Lisa Guy's head was also shown in court. Joel Jr.'s fingerprints were found on many items in the house. The officers took the stand to explain what they had discovered. One of them described the smell and stated that he couldn't get the smell out of his head anymore. Throughout all of these vivid descriptions, Joel Jr. sat there emotionless and did not react in any way to the horrific statements of the Knox County police officers. Every new detail that was presented in court revealed the extent of Joe's brutality. On the third day of the trial, another investigator recounted how they removed the decomposing corpse from the property and described how the mortar had completely eaten away at Joel Guy Sr.'s head. Joel Jr.'s only friend and former roommate also spoke to the jurors. He had met Joel Jr. in high school and had been friends with him for almost 10 years. He described him as a socially awkward person who became more and more withdrawn as he got older. A phone call between the two after Joel Jr.'s arrest was played in court, in which Joel says Michael was the only good thing in his life. Joel Jr. listened to terrible evidence and heartbreaking testimonies from family members and friends of his murdered parents, and yet this moment, seeing his best friend in the courtroom, was the only time Joel Jr. showed emotion during the trial. On the fourth day of the trial, a Thursday, the hearing began. Joel Guy Jr. refused to testify as a witness, and the charges against him were read out again. On Friday, October 2nd, 2020, he was finally found guilty on all counts, including 2 counts of first-degree murder, 3 counts of first-degree murder, and 2 counts of abuse of a corpse. Joel was unanimously found guilty on all 7 counts, with more than 700 pieces of evidence presented to the court. Joel Michael Guy Jr. remains in prison and is housed in the Northwest Correctional Complex in Tennessee. His sentence is 124 years and he can be released on parole on April 30th, 2136. What do you think of this tragic, heartbreaking story? Do you think something could have been done to prevent these murders? Thanks for watching and take care.